Welcome to the Black Tax. The African proverb, an ant on its feet can do more than an elephant laying down. Several years ago, I used to go to the Congressional Black Caucus dinner. I really went to the after party more than the dinner because my mental capacity and my inability to deal with the fake and phony of the bourgeoisie was a lot for me to handle. Now, I'm the first to tell somebody when they say, you bougie, I'm the first to correct them. Nope, I am bourgeoisie. I was raised this way. I didn't come into this. So a friend of a friend asked me if I would go with his friend to this dinner. She really wanted to go. And she's like, I have our tickets. I just don't want to go by myself. And he couldn't go. So I was like, okay, no problem. I can do that. I got on a plane from Los Angeles and flew to Reagan International Airport in DC. I got there the night before. We hung out, we laughed, we giggled, we talked about mutual projects we were working on. And she still needed to buy some shoes for her dress, her gown that she was wearing to the black tie. And it was all good. So we get to the black tie, and the first problem was she only had one ticket. She didn't have two. So I had to shell out $1,000 to pay for the ticket. Fortunately, it was a write-off, so I might not have had the $1,000 then, but it was a write-off when I did my taxes the following year. So it was a win-win for me. It was a lose-win, but it still became a win-win. So we get to our table, and there's seats. I want to say it was 16 people. It was these really wide and round tables. To the left of me, where my date sat, there were three couples, older, our parents' age, and then to the right of me was four couples. I think it was that who were younger than I. So it was like boomers, Xers, and maybe millennials. So the waiter comes over, and I already know the room. I already feel the room. I was like, this is gonna be a long night. My spidey senses is going off. I'm gonna say some things, and I'm gonna sit here, and I'm gonna try my best not to piss anybody off. But I already know I'm going to, but I'm gonna do my best not to. So the waiter comes by and says, can I get you something? And I ask, can I get a cup of hot tea or a small pot of hot water? He's like, sure. What kind of tea do you want? Oh, never mind. I have my own tea, but thank you. I appreciate that. So, he comes back with a small teapot and a cup, and I fill the teacup up. I go into my tuxedo pocket. I pull out a Jolly Rancher, a cannabis Jolly Rancher. I drop it into the water and I let it melt because I know what kind of night this is going to be. So my date is chatting it up with one of the women, and the woman is very condescending. She's talking to her like she's so above them. And then she opens the conversation up to the other younger people on the table. And the other women kind of chime in and talk about the importance of going to college and being first generation college educated, how they have to continue improving the black race, that we all become educated so that we can be the most educated race there is in America. And college. Now, mind you, I'm in a tuxedo. My tie is untied. I'm sitting there, sipping on my weed. The guy next to me is like, yo, what are you drinking? I said, weed. He's like, word? I said, yep. I need it for this night. Gave him a Jolly Rancher. He got some tea, and we're just sitting there. And the woman talking about their experience and being college and what they majored in. And I am staying out of this conversation because they keep stressing that they are third generation college educated. Keep saying it. We're third generation college educated. We're third generation college educated. And I'm just like, okay. So the leader of the pack, the woman, she says, so you haven't said much as we were talking about college. Are you currently in college? I was like, nope, I've graduated from college already. She says, oh, your parents must be very proud. I guess, it's not a big deal. So then the other gentleman was like, oh, it is a very big deal. So very few black men graduate from college. So very few black men go to college. Your parents should really be very proud of you, make you become a shining example of it. I was like, I don't think they're going to do that. And it's okay. They don't have to. So then the other woman who was sitting in front of me across from the table, she says, well, maybe your parents are ashamed that they're not college educated. And I put my teacup down and I said, are you making the assumption that my parents aren't college educated? And she's like, I don't mean to offend you. Too late. Okay. I've been trying to stay out of this conversation for a very long time. But now, since you want to be a bitch about it, I'm going to jump in here. I am 4th generation college educated, which is one generation more than any of you are. Number 2, I am not first nor am I second. I am 3rd generation lawyer. So I don't even have that luxury of being the first. I don't have the luxury of being the first in anything in terms of education because most of my family have masters. So, and a few have doctorates. So I don't have the luxury of being like, well, I'm the only one. So before you start trying to toot your horn about how important you are, you might want to find a better way to have this conversation so you don't make people who don't have that historical background feel less about themselves because they don't have it. So then I turn to the younger people. Let me be really clear with you about this. People will always try to make themselves look better because you don't have the same experiences that they have. But understand, your experience is a success. Even if you're the only one, it's your success. Your success is based on what you do, not what everyone in your circle or your friends or even your family has done. And she says, oh my God, thank you. And I was like, no, I don't need to thank you because these people over here will always try to make you feel less than because they are insecure about themselves. They look at each other, they get up, and they sail on away from the table. So my date looked at me, is like, was that necessary? I said it was absolutely necessary. Then she's in her feelings because she feels like I overreacted. I didn't. There's something about Black people who talk to other Black people about their successes in hopes that they make as a way that they're trying to say, I'm inspiring you. When in actuality, they're gloating about who and what they are, what they got, who they know, where they've been, all that bullshit. Listen, I've had an amazing life. I'm proud of the life that I've had. I'm proud of my ups, my downs, my way downs, because I've always been able to land on my feet, and I don't take that blessing for granted. However, I also don't need to brag about or throw in people's face my education, my family history, unless you are asking about it or making a point. My great-grandmother immigrated into this country from Jamaica. She cast down buckets. All of her children, all of her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are college educated, the talented 10th. My great-grandmother on my mom's side is the last slave in my family and the first to be college educated. And everyone since then is. So that is something I'm very proud of. That is something that I hold dear in my space, in my environment, and in my heart and my love. But I don't think I'm better. We have to stop trying to outdo each other and understand the strength that we have as a community, as an educated community. But boomer generation feels like they are constantly having to prove that they are just as good, whereas Xers are more kind of like, it is what it is. Most of us are latchkey kids, and millennials are in this space like, well, we know what we're talking about, and most of them don't. And then you have Z generation who just think that the world is rainbows and butterflies and everybody should just see it that way and be fine. It's not the real world. So I want you to take from this tidbit of a story that your successes are to be celebrated. Your failures are to be lessons learned. And regardless of who says it, parent, aunt, uncle, friend of the family, no one should ever make you feel little for the things that you've accomplished or failed at. Because the life that you have is the life that you want. And by walking the way you walk, you don't have to walk the way they have to on eggshells. Stay woke. We out.